one of the things in the video that caught my attention was, talking about the conversation being more relaxed.
Mm.
I think a lot of people don't realize that we have listening fatigue when we're, listening, and having visuals to supplement that really can offset the cognitive load that we have when we're trying to process audio only. Whether it's when we're on the phone or watching TV or in a restaurant, they don't see us when we hang up that phone or finish a conversation and kind of walk away, and we have that moment where we kind of have to decompress a little bit and have that fatigue, and then have that visual to help offset that. It really makes a difference in the enjoyment and the quality of the conversation, and also ensuring us that we're hearing what we think we hear, because there's also the confidence issue that some of us may have, that we may have heard what we heard, but we may not be sure that we heard what we thought we heard, or vice versa. So I'm sure there's a lot of things you've learned in hindsight when talking to people and showing them the glasses, and you're kind of like, oh, I didn't really think about that aspect of it. So what are some of the things that you kind of caught you by surprise, that you're like, oh yeah, well, I didn't think about it like that, kind of moments?
The first thing you said was one of the very first, we learned at the very first formal interview we did with somebody named Sue, who was in the video that you saw. And we spent 45 minutes talking to her. She was wearing the glasses. She was sort of lukewarm. We've come to know her later as she's sort of a skeptic with technology. And she was sort of like, yeah, they're fine. And I thought this was really going to help. And we thought, oh, maybe it's not as useful as we thought it was. But then 2 hours later, she sent me an email saying, Alex, normally in a conversation like that, I would be exhausted. I'd have a headache. I'd be lying down. That was a lot. But she said, I don't feel that right now. I don't have a headache. I don't feel like I need to rest. I feel good. I think, she said, I didn't realize how much work I put into just understanding a basic conversation and how much this really helped me. And so she said, while she didn't feel like in the moment it was that important, she realized later how much she was actually relying on the captions, and that's when she decided it was really a big help. It wasn't in the moment, it was later when she realized she didn't have the listening fatigue. That was a big surprise. That actually led us to apply for grant research to study cognitive load with any kind of hearing loss or auditory processing disorders. When our brains are just working overtime, anything helps. And so we're curious to study this more, is for caption glasses, whether they're ours or anyone else making them, can we demonstrate that they reduce cognitive load, that they help people actually feel better, and help our brains stay healthy? That's so important. With these studies coming out linking hearing loss to dementia and other diseases, boy, I think it's really important that we do whatever we can to keep our brains happy. So that was one area. There's another that you mentioned, confidence, which was a second. We heard from a veteran in Pittsburgh. He has a cochlear implant and a hearing aid. He does very well in one-on-one conversations. In a group conversation, it's a little more difficult. But that's what he said. He said, he said, in a conversation, I can only ask someone to repeat themselves like 3 times before they get upset and walk away. And he said, I feel like with the glasses, it lets me hold on to those 3 asks. Because the first time I realized, oh, I don't know what he said, I can look at the captions. Oh, now I know what he said. And it gave him, he expressed it as confidence. And then he described what was kind of going on in his head, which was he didn't have to ask someone to repeat themselves, because if you didn't quite hear what they said, the captions help fill in blanks.
Yeah, and often when people ask others to repeat themselves, there's usually a perception from the other party that maybe the other person's not, it's not a thing of hearing, but a thing of understanding. Like you ask them to repeat themselves, they think, oh, you're not understanding the subject.
Right.
You know, you're not, let me explain the subject. And it's like, no, I get the subject. I just need you to repeat yourself. You know, I'm not, I don't want to say the word stupid, but you know, that's kind of how we can come off sometimes. So we're afraid to ask that question because we don't want to give off that perception, especially if we're in like the workforce or something and we're supposed to be the subject matter expert on something, and then we ask the question what, and the person might look at you like, well, aren't you supposed to know this stuff? And it's like, well, yeah, we know this stuff, but we just didn't hear what you said. It's really that as simple as that.
Yeah.
So you have to be more mindful of perception when we don't want to use one of those three asks, as you know, you said.